What's up, guys? I almost started talking without even like putting the mic here, which is crazy. It's been so long since we streamed or have been streaming. God, how long has it been? It's got to be at least a month that we've streamed. But today, you guys see it in the title. This is going to be a really wild stream. I'm going to do my absolute best to cover whatever I can. Will I get shadow, taken away by YouTube? Hopefully not. I'm praying that they don't. They don't do it to bigger YouTubers. I am a smaller YouTuber, so hopefully talking about this topic won't ding me. But you know what? I decided I need to talk about this because it is insane. And also not political at all. No politics in this. But yeah, specifically today, we're going to be diving into Coffeezilla's 3 videos breaking down the insane files. You guys know what type of files we're talking about today. I don't need to tell you. Hey, passing papers, real mashy. Everybody's in. This is awesome. It's so nice to see everyone in chat again. Let me make sure everything is muted so you guys don't hear echoing, and then we can watch the video. All right, we are good on kick. Boom. Is my Twitch working? Let me check. Good to see. All right, there we go. We got Twitch, Kick, and YouTube all rolling. All right, without further ado, you guys see it. I highly recommend you guys check out Coffeezilla's channel here. This is his extra channel, Voidzilla, but he is an amazing journalist. He covers a lot of crazy topics. His main channel is a little bit more fun, but today we are going to be diving into, or fun is the wrong term, less journally and more like just wild takes on stuff. Like let me show you his main channel. So he's talked about Logan Paul scamming, Andrew Tate scams, exposing the gambling epidemic, like fun topics like that. But he also did on his side channel, which is smart of him to do it on the side, a real deep dive into the files, which we'll be watching and reacting to today, because there was like 3.5 million files that was just recently released a week ago. Dude, look at my cats just sneaking up out of nowhere. That was scary, bro. What the hell was that? But yeah, oh, hey, Zero Gravity. Hey, wait, where's the chat? Restore chat. There we go. Oh, hey, now I can see everybody. Hey, Arch. Hey, Past Papers. Hey, Real Mashy. Good to see everybody in chat. I'm excited. Also, hey, Zero Gravity on Twitch. But yeah, so there's like 3.5 million files that were released to catch you guys up on what's going on in the world of America right now. So if you guys don't know, there's this guy named Eppery Mepstein. That rhymes with that, okay? He is one of the most disgusting human beings out there. He's gotten indicted for this kind of situation in 2008. However, in 2008, they didn't discover the full extent of everything that was going on in his island, along with various people who could be tied in. And then, with the new administration in America, they had this whole thing of like, oh, we'll for sure release all the files. And then he was unalived and selfly unalived, which no one is believing at all, but whatever. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Like, oh man, that's so black and white too. But anyway, so we get back into it, and the DOJ and all like the FBI, everyone's involved in this, right? And they've never actually, still to this day, released all of the files. And they've told us that they will release it all because it's everyone's right to see it. However, they haven't, and they're saying the reason they haven't is because they needed to redact a lot of names, which is absolute. What, in my opinion, it's cap, because even when they redacted it, which you're going to see in a little bit, most of the stuff that was redacted is like not politicians, but like people's names that aren't the victims. And they also messed up. And when they first released them, some of the victims' names were released. So what was the whole point of redacting it? But anyway, so let's watch Coffeezilla's deep dive on this. He's going to explain it a lot better than me. Everyone is saying it, Arch. I'm just being very careful about shadow bans because I know, how do I say this? YouTube is owned by interesting people, And I'm just not trying to feather any toes, but yeah, or ruffle any feathers, I say. All right, let's dive into this today. So first things that we're going to be watching today is going to be his first video on this. They're literally covering up the files, is this one. Then we're going to go into the new files, 2 videos. So this was 2 weeks ago, okay? So first, we'll do it chronologically. So 2 weeks ago, this happened. Let me go ahead and make it theater mode.
The government is breaking the law with the Epstein.
Wait, how is the volume? Let me make it a little louder. Oh, yeah. You're traumatized by the 3 months. Yeah. I got to be very careful.
Files. They were supposed to release all of them. They did not. They were supposed to explain redactions. They did not. They were supposed to have limited redactions that did not allow them to redact on the basis of embarrassment or for politically exposed people. They did that. They redacted actual people who were investigated in the Epstein case, not just the victims. And this is in violation of the bipartisan law that Donald Trump signed only months ago.
Dude, I swear it feels like saying his name now. Both the files guy and, the leader, it's like saying Voldemort, bro. Like, you almost like can't say it because if you say it, you're scared of getting silenced, which is so scary because what happened to the First Amendment, Sorry, I'm just making sure all my ads are rolling just normal. Okay, cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel the same way as me. It's just scary times. Oh, hey, hello, Scott from Germany. Good to see you in chat. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm just making sure everything is good. All right, let's roll this.
A law called the Epstein Transparency Act, and I've excerpted a few bits of it for you, where specifically they could not redact all the files. They had to release all of them by a certain day, which they missed. They didn't hit that deadline. They said they needed more time to review. But of the stuff we've already gotten...
Which is wild that they're claiming that they need time. And then get ready, because what they do release, like weeks after this video, is just insane. Also, my contacts are acting up, so I'm going to let it play, but I'll be right back.
They've redacted more than they were supposed to. The law says that they can't redact on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, political sensitivity. Basically, they can't just say like, oh, we don't like that guy's name is coming out. They only can redact on the basis of like national security or if it's a victim. And even if they do redact, they have to explain why they did so. They have to give a summary of redactions made, including the legal basis. And they did not do that either. Not only did they make redactions that clearly in the context are not victims at all, but rather possible perpetrators. They're redacting possible perpetrators, but they also haven't explained anything they did redact. And on the DOJ website, you can see that they are just not interested in following the law here because they say they're going to redact personal information pertaining to victims, which is according to the law. Then they say other private individuals.
Yeah, that's the most blatant, like, I'm going to protect certain people that I need to protect, like, line ever. Also, you guys are going to see something really weird. I'm going to use the camera to put my contacts in, but while we're watching.
But that, again, is not what the law says. The law makes no provision for that. So the DOJ has sort of taken the law that was passed and kind of just like reinterpreted it. And even still, they're not complying with it because, as I said, they were supposed to release everything by a certain day. Here's the status of that. So far...
Dude, so their original total pages, like, that's actually insane, was 5.3 million total pages, okay? And prior to this past week, they had only released 125,000 of the documents, okay? Luckily, we got the 3.5 mil released, which is half of it. However, the ridiculous thing is everyone knew this was going on for like 2 years now, or like a year or two, and it's taken them so long to release these and redact it. It's just wild to me because what's the point of us paying tax dollars and stuff if the government doesn't do their job? Like, this is actually something that we need them to do, and it's also pretty bipartisan. I feel like everyone on every camp if you're defending this, like you're defending like actual like creeps, dude. And there's no reason to be defending any of these guys. We need to out whoever was a part of this like wild cult that they had going on.
2.4% of the total pages that are under review have been released. They say they have, and I'm not even kidding, 5 million pages of documents related to Epstein. They also say they have 2 million.
So there's about 2 million more that we need to see.
Documents under review. So far, they've released 12,000. And a lot of those were entirely redacted.
So I just wanted to show you guys this video because this is where we were at 2 weeks ago, okay? And now, before diving into the rest of these, let's actually talk about the ones that were released. So Coffeezilla here, he had 2 videos, the second being very long. So get ready. We're going to lock in on both of these. Yeah, it is horrendous. And, you know, each document, to dive into it, by the way, guys, for anyone who doesn't know, is mostly like emails and text messages, right? So each page of documents is a Zoom of one transcript of email exchanges or text. Now, imagine that, and now multiply it by 3.5 million. That's how many like stuff pertaining Epstein. And I'm sure in those, there's going to be some like goofy ones that no one gives a fuck about. But the reality is majority of them are probably pertaining to people who visited his island, things like that. Because, yeah, there's the whole thing. And at the end of this, I also want to talk about, I hate to bring up the name. I'm not saying anything is his fault, but Joe Rogan's involvement in this. Because there is a parallel with him, his guests, being on these files, which is insane. There's like 9 guests now that has been on this files. But anyways, all right. So this is the main video I really wanted us to watch. This one and the next one, okay? So the files had now dropped, and Coffeezilla comes up with this video.
The FBI just dropped 3.5 million files, and it is incredible. Huge bombshells about some of the most powerful people on the planet. I can't believe they...
So this was 5 days ago. I think the files had dropped right before this video, so about 6 days ago. So we're still within this week of them dropping, okay? And the fallout is insane. Like, there's people still every single hour getting outed. The worst of the worst being, like, gotta be Bill Gates. I know you guys can't see it because my face is covering it, but on this picture here, we have Bill Gates, the owner and CEO head of Microsoft. You guys know the deal. Also, Microsoft stock, like, tanked this week. Could be for this reason, could be for other reasons, could be for everything. We got Clinton, Bill. Oh, Bill. We actually kind of most of us already knew about the Bill stuff in the last release of the files. It just gets worse. We have Elon Musk, which is a wild one. I'm not surprised, but guys, when you guys find out his part in this files, you guys are going to be like, no way. Because when I found out, I was like, ain't no way. Ain't no way this dude was this down bad. Who is this guy? I think that was Epstein's, I don't know. We're going to find out for this guy. And then, obviously, DT. Not going to say his name. I'm scared.
They let some of this stuff out. I mean, it is stunning. Honestly, one of the biggest lies we've seen is the idea that the FBI could possibly come to us and say, not only is there not a client list, there was no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. Guys, we're about to see planned blackmail to one of the most powerful people on the planet, and that is Bill Gates. Listen, there's a lot we're going to get to, but we have to start with probably the craziest revelation here, which is Jeffrey Epstein emailing himself about Bill Gates. Now, if you don't know, Bill Gates and Epstein had a relationship post 2008. That's a big year. You're going to hear.
Dude, imagine having a relationship after someone gets indicted for being a PDF, bruh. Like, come on. Like, Bill, I thought you were smart, my guy. Like, that's such a dumb play. Such a dumb play. Then your country is so insane. Oh, yeah, Arch, you don't even know how insane. It each and every day for this past year now, I'm going to say, has been just like a progressive ramping up of anxiety for, I feel like, most Americans. I'm going to say most Americans, especially if you're in the middle, because like myself, if you're in the middle, you don't know what's happening. You know, both sides are just saying things towards each other. Hell, there's even people protecting this. I've seen it on Instagram. I go on Instagram, I put a comment down saying that they haven't even released all of it yet. And you got people commenting on my comment trying to defend the files from being released. They're like, why do you want to see it so bad? Why? What do you mean, bro? This is like actual people, leaders in America that we need to figure out if they are doing stuff with children, bro. Like what? Honestly, not surprised about Elon Musk. Okay, so I'm not surprised about Elon being on the files. I am surprised at what you're going to find out in how he was on the files. Because it's actually kind of funny. I know it's messed up to joke about this stuff. Trust me. Just trust me on this one. The Elon one is goofy. Yes, I did see that passing papers. That just came out today that the Clintons are apparently going to testify or willing to testify on the files. However, I am now scared for their lives because anyone who's willing to testify has now a huge target on their head because we don't know what Bill knows. We don't know what the Hillary knows. It's a dangerous play, a dangerous world. I get his position, though. Everyone's been dragging his name under the mud, and he's like, well, if you guys are going to drag my name, y'all think you going to get away with this? All right, let's watch some more.
A lot today, because 2008 was the time that Epstein pled guilty for soliciting of somebody under the age of 18. He was a predator at this point. Everybody knew it. Now, eventually, Bill Gates would get divorced when all of this came out. Melinda Gates said it was part of the direct cause for the divorce. She said she met Epstein and said he was evil.
He was evil personified.
Wild. Dude, and when you find out these messages between Bill and him, I mean, not Bill, sorry. Yeah, Bill Gates. Yeah. I get why she divorced him.
You have to understand, this is like Bill Gates' kryptonite. He's one of the richest men on the planet. He's got this huge philanthropy arm. But this relationship with Epstein has been a huge problem for him. And Epstein appears to have known that because in 2013, Bill Gates appears to be distancing himself from Jeffrey Epstein. And Epstein seems to have a problem with that. He says, I assume the dedication to our relation went both ways. Larry has now asked me to recommit to a confidentiality agreement. Basically, he's got to shut up about his relationship with Bill Gates. And this is where the blackmail starts. And it comes in the form of like, if I were you, I would do X if I were the type of guy that you should be. He says, in that regard, I suggest I buy you the house that you had your heart set on. In addition to 5 years of severance, we'll buy you out of the investment contract we agreed upon, 30 to 40% of an $100 million partnership for $30 million in today's terms.
So if you guys don't get what's going on here, also, hey, Suge, Jeffrey, little Jeff, was emailing him saying, if I were you, I would buy that person blah, 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 which is incentive, like really pushing him towards alluding to the fact like, oh, you should buy me these things or else I will release. He didn't say it in a word that just makes it straight up blackmail, but it's pretty obvious that this is what he wants. If you don't give it to him, he has so-and-so information that could be released, you know?
That's what I would have done had I been in your shoes. Then he lays out what he has on Bill Gates, or what he says he has. Quote, to add insult to injury, you subsequently, with tears in your eyes, implore me to delete the emails I had regarding your STD. Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you could surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your I mean,
okay, sorry, I don't mean to be laughing. This is a very serious topic, but that is actually insane. So if you guys didn't catch that, little Jeff here, we'll call him Little Jeff, just in spite of, I'm not trying to downplay everything. I just don't want to get in trouble. So Little Jeff here was talking to Mr. Gates, we'll say, and he was telling him, well, if you don't like do the things I need, hold up. So he said to delete the emails regarding his STD, bruh. He got apparently STD, or, you know, sexually transmitted diseases from specific women that, you know, Lil Jeff and him had been dealing with. We don't know their ages or anything, but regardless, it's sketchy situations. And I mean, obviously, we probably can assume his age, or the girl's ages, considering it's Epstein and the whole situation. But not only is he getting STDs, he was gonna sneak antibiotics into Melinda's like drinks and stuff so that she wouldn't get the STD. Bruh, what? He probably got the clap. Also, hey, Nicholas, thank you so much for loving my work. I appreciate each and every one of you guys who's been watching. Also, it's been an insane year. We've been growing really fast, although my last video did not do good, but I get it. It was a little bit different than my usual content. But anyways.
Provide you antibiotics that you could surreptitiously give to Melinda. And the description of your I mean, this is insane.
Also, description of her pee-pee is hilarious. What is this? Wait, what? Who messaged that? Was that on Twitch? Oh, that was on Twitch. Let me look at my Twitch chat real quick. Damn, where the hell's my Twitch chat at? There we go. This is really... Out of all the videos I watched, this one is the one that really puts things into perspective for me. Blank, EpiPen was basically a supplier for these sick, twisted a-holes, and he is only a small part of it. Yeah, 100%. Honestly, like, it's so messed up that this whole situation happened. That guy is the most vile, disgusting human being to be doing this stuff. I'm just glad that we live in a society now where we can pull up these documents. However, I am not glad about the fact that and the way that the government and people are dealing with these documents. Like, why can't we get them? I completely understand redacting victims' names, 100%, especially when they were minors. 100. No one wants to be in this when it comes to that. But the people like who were doing this stuff, you know what I'm talking about. They were not the victims. Why are we redacting their names? That is the most baffling bullshit stuff I've ever seen. Excuse my French. But yeah, so great take, Shug. I definitely agree. Why would anyone and so many people would do that? There's so much. So a crazy thing about that, Arch, is that I genuinely believe that the most elite in society, I'm talking about the top of the top brass, right? In order to even get to that level, you have to have some type of deranged mind, right? Narcissism, a lot of things. And you know, there's studies done by this as well. And you need that level of it to get somewhere, right? Now, does that mean you're going to directly result in being a PDF? Probably not, but does that like correlate? Yes. Also, another thing is we can talk about how when you have so much money and you're able to do whatever, you get bored with things. So you want to do more. You want to test the extremes of it. Now, I wish there was a study that connected the dots between people who are like top brass with actual PDF, because I feel like to be a PDF, like legit, you actually have to have some chemical imbalance in your brain, especially EpiPen. EpiPen here, his was one of the worst. I mean, like, I'm sure there's people in these docs that are really bad, but calling his plane Lolita, if you guys know what the book Lolita is, it's literally about a kid. Like, that's so fucked up. Like, and then the pictures that came out of him with the actual like children. I'm not even talking about like 16, 17-year-old. I'm talking about like children, bro. It's weird. Whoever they are trying to spin this like Epstein was a blackmailer. He wasn't. Sure, he had dirt on them for his own sake and why he got them killed in jail. Okay, with Shug, in that take, I personally, I believe that EpiPen here did have some of this footage and stuff as blackmail or as like a contingency plan, 100%. I do think that someone that is in that position would do that. But do I think that he was genuinely friends with some of these guys and they just like actually did this stuff together? Also, yes. So I think both. I think it goes both ways. I think there is certain people like Bill where he was straight up kind of like blackmailing. And then there's certain people where he was like, you know, actually just partying with, had pictures with, which is also like evil. I mean, it's all really bad. Yeah, that book is so bad. Yeah, so bad. If EpiPen was a small percentage and tame, then that's crazy. I heard cannibalism is connected to this, but I'm not gonna lie, it might be a rumor. Yeah, there's a lot of rumors coming about. I don't want to talk too much about the rumors just because I don't want to spread like false narratives. But you never know with the elite. Like genuinely, like I really, if the people who are the top brass, I mean, dude, oftentimes it gets a little wacky there. Please watch this next. Let me put it on my list. I only have an hour and a half left. Oh, yeah. Oh, we will totally watch that, Shug. I watched that last night. It's insane. I hope we have enough time to watch all 3 videos. If not, I'll do a second part for this stream. I just have work at 2 p.m., which is an hour and a half. Yeah, that's a great idea, Shug. I'm going to put that. I'll go ahead and put that on the screen. By the way, Shug's video is one of Rogan's clips of recently, and I need to dissect this one as well because it is so bad, guys. But yeah, all right, let's finish this Coffeezilla deep dive.
Completely insane. It's like basically laying out in text form, I would give me millions of dollars, and I can't believe you're asking me to delete the message where you were going to give STD medication to your wife without her knowledge.
That's some mafia shit right there. Like, that's like insinuating like, oh, by the way, this is what I have. Do you really want to play this game or not, son?
It's complete. It's crazy. It's just completely obvious what he's doing here. It's just a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Here's what you should do. But now that coming out after Epstein's death, this looks really bad for Gates, obviously, because you usually wouldn't blackmail somebody for something that's completely false or fake. I mean, maybe he did that, but we
also, let me know if the volume's too loud or too low, by the way.
also know Bill Gates had affairs. Obviously, Melinda credits it for their divorce. So it's hard to believe there was nothing sketchy going on. Bill Gates, of course, maintains that it was completely above board. He says the fact this allegation was in here just shows how much Epstein was willing to defame people. But Epstein lays it out. He says he helped Bill get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, and to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. Look.
That one is so funny to me because, all right, dude was asked, okay, so there's a lot of things in this, right? Obviously, dude was asking him for, drugs to help him with the STDs of these Russian girls that he got from them. Also to put in, Melinda, his ex-wife's drinks so that she can also be cured of it as well without her knowing, right? But to ask for Adderall, hold up. That, I don't know why that's so funny to me. Dude needed, like, you have all the money in the world. And you know how easy it is to get a prescription for your bridge tournaments, right? That's so funny. But like, what is bridge? Is that a card game? Bridge game. It is a card game. That's so funny. Dude was getting amped up for card tournaments. But the funny thing is, you have so much money, you can get that, bro. It's not that hard. I don't know. That's just funny to me. All right,
guys, this is exactly what we suspected the whole time. Epstein was providing services to rich people and expecting payment via blackmail. Now you might say, and it's true, that we don't know that Epstein ultimately sent that version of an email to Gates. All we know is he sent that to himself. He may have planned the blackmail and just been drafting something. But what we do know are 2 things. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Gates was threatened by Epstein over an affair. We also know that after this blackmail email Jeffrey sent to himself was written, eventually Gates sent a $2 million donation to MIT directed by Jeffrey Epstein, which is a bit weird if you had distanced yourself from the guy and y'all had this big falling out. Now again, do we know for sure that Bill Gates did all of that? No, of course we don't. But do I think Bill Gates was innocently looking for charity advice from a after he already pled guilty? No, I don't. I'm sorry, I'm not that gullible. And speaking of not that gullible, we've been lied to also by another richest guy on the planet. Geez, it's a shock why they don't want to put this out. Elon Musk, who has been saying for years that it is a lie that he went to Epstein's island. In fact, he says he refused to go. From Elon, he says, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island. I refused. He says, anyone pushing this false narrative deserves...
Oh, wait. This is the really funny part. Also, Shug, I got your message on Twitch. I can't show that just because it says that word. And I might get demonetized on YouTube, Ed. But Foxy says the cannibalism part is real. I can email you the files if need be. Let me see if Coffee dives into that. If he doesn't, then you can send it to me, and then we'll take a look at that if I have enough time. But let's get through this chronologically first. But this next part was the part I was gonna talk to you guys about, because the Elon stuff is so goofy. Like, this is next level goofy goober stuff. Okay.
To Epstein's island. In fact, he says he refused to go. From Elon, he says, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island. I refused. He says, anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt. Later,
so remember, he said, I refused. Elon says, I did not want to go, okay? Never, I got invited, but I didn't want to go. This shit is so crazy.
Responding to another headline, which said Elon Musk planned trip to Epstein's private island. And he says, this is false. But of course, we start to dig through the files, and we can see on Epstein's calendar that Elon Musk is booked in December 6th.
So not only is he booked, though, just wait for this,
of 2014. But maybe you don't believe that. That's just the word of Jeffrey Epstein. But maybe you'll believe the word of Elon Musk, who was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein to go to his island post the guilty plea. Elon Musk writes, will be in BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Good time to visit. Jeffrey Epstein says, I will send a heli for you. Later, Elon Musk writes to Epstein, probably just to Lula and me, his ex-wife, what day night would be the wildest party on your island? The
wildest party. And not only that, everyone knew. It was like, everyone knew that this guy was partying and his islands had under it. You know, everybody knew this. Like, this was a thing. And Elon asking to go is so wild. Elon is so sad to me. Can't believe that we thought he was cool 7 years ago. Yeah, like, wait. But it gets better, Arch. Like, so he's wanting to go to the island, okay, based on this, right? Mainstream media silence. What's your thoughts on that? Well, the mainstream media is probably silent because everyone who is the head of those media companies are probably involved or on the list. They're the redacted names. So, I mean, it makes sense that they don't want to talk about the subject because it might come too close to them or too close to someone who is close to them. Similar to Joe Rogan. Like, Joe Rogan isn't himself in these files. However, a lot of the people who are his guests were on these files. And so it's very... he has to teeter around it. And I'm not going to lie, I'm honestly pretty scared talking about this too. I just want to let you guys know, I love my life. I love everyone. Nothing should happen to me from my accord. Just letting you guys know, I love life, okay? I would never do anything with my life. I just want to claim that before anything happens. But it's scary talking about the subject. Like, I asked my girlfriend, I was like, hey, should I talk about the files? And we both are very up to date on this. And she's like, I don't know. It's a dangerous thing to do. And yeah, it's scary. But you know what? I was like, we got to talk about this. So we then talked about, no, I am not. No, I am not. I am not. But that's funny. But yeah, I just want to announce that I am not at all. Okay, I love you guys. I want to keep making videos for as long as possible. But yeah, so mainstream media, they got too much people tied into this. You got to think about the companies that own the media companies, right? The people that own them. They are the rich ones. The richest of the rich usually intermingle with each other. So whether they are on the list or if they're connected to someone on the list, they're probably protecting somebody, you know? Probably. I mean, I would just assume that's probably the only other thing I could see being a reasoning for why they wouldn't talk about it is because it's too dark of a subject to talk about. However, and it's also bipartisan. Usually mainstream media likes to put us at like ends of each other, hating each other. And so this doesn't really help their narrative because everyone's on this list, both sides. So yeah, just fascinating. That's my thoughts on it. Checking out the doing this. Fine. So I totally get that at 7 Lieben. I don't know how to pronounce that, but
the world's richest man is asking the most pedophile man for the wildest party on his island.
Dude,
And
this gets better.
It gets more explicit. In 2012, remember, this is the guy who said, I refused it. I could never do that, right? It's false. But here in 2012, he says, do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of my sanity this year. I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. The
So
invitation
bad.
is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for. Guys, he can't even play the I went to go study math excuse, which is what all these guys do. They say, hey, I just went to go talk to scientists. Elon's like, hey, I don't want to do that. I'm looking for a party. That's what I'm here to do. And then Jeffrey Epstein writes, understood, I will see you on St. Barth. The ratio on my island might make your ex-wife uncomfortable. I can't believe these guys are lying to us and people are swallowing it still, thinking that Elon Musk had nothing to do with this guy. So again,
It's usually like the Elon fanboys that are like, there's no way this guy's like super clean and all that.
that's 2012. That's 2014.
This is all after Epstein got in trouble for and indicted for the whole, PDF situation.
But guess what? There's another time in 2013. I mean, this seems like a yearly thing with the boys. Here, once again, Elon Musk writes, we'll be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Again, is there a good time to visit? Jeffrey Epstein, any day, 1st to the 8th, play it by ear if you want, always space for you. They then plan some more, and you might think, well, if Elon ever told the truth, this is when he has to reject, right? Because he said, I refused. But actually, it appears to be one of those cases where,
is
like,
so
your
funny.
friend says, like, oh, bro, I dumped her. And actually, it was the other way. Yeah, it turns out Elon didn't dump the The dumped Elon. He says, bad news. Unfortunately, my schedule will keep me in New York. Hopefully, we can schedule another time in the future.
Bro, this part is so funny to me because not only did Elon want to go to the party, want to go to the insanity of this party, and he got curved by EpiPen here. Literally, EpiPen told him that we're going to have to reschedule, buddy. So even the PDF files were literally like, Elon's a little bit too much of a nerd. Let's not bring him around. He's a little too weird. Okay, I know that's fucked up that we're laughing about stuff like this. It's just funny to me. Yeah, it's just insane, everything going on. White Monster Energy quit.
Jeffrey Epstein let Elon down. That's actually the real story. Is the reason he didn't go in 2013 was because he couldn't go. Jeffrey Epstein was not there. Guys, I mean, how blatant do they have to make it before we start to just see through it, right? When they issue these ridiculous denials, they're totally associated with the guy after the guilty plea. They lie through their teeth, but they can't even keep their story straight. And that's what's crazy. They're not even competent at this. They get caught in their own lies all the time. Remember, the FBI's official story was they didn't blackmail. Well, before we even had these files.
Oh, the FBI is a whole nother thing. Like this whole, I almost don't even want to talk about it because that's just sounds so dangerous to talk about. But it is just eerily seeming like they're protecting someone. I'm just going to say that.
Howard Lutnick was on the record calling Jeffrey Epstein the greatest blackmailer ever.
So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
No, they participated.
right.
That's what his MO was,
Bro, okay, no, this is the guy. This is the guy at the beginning of the video. Bro, so this guy says, oh, these guys, they all participated in it. As if he's like squeaky clean. Okay, watch this, watch this.
Get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Interesting. Okay, so Howard has a different perspective. Now, if you don't know, that guy, do you think he's just telling the truth there? Even this guy who's contradicting the official narrative, this guy literally lived next to Jeffrey Epstein. This guy who's like, I'm going to tell the truth. Those guys participated. That guy lives next to Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, he lied too. I love this video we're about to get into because this guy, Mr. He's the greatest blackmailer ever, does he know something we don't know? Because it's interesting. Mr. I'm his neighbor had to also explain how he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And he lays it out pretty.
So this Howard dude is his neighbor, okay? And then he says all this stuff, and it's just so insane when you realize you're a coke because you didn't allow yourself with it. Yeah, okay. I also want to say I would never unalive myself. I want to announce that. Gotta check the windows here. He was the best blackmailer ever. They try to spin that narrative. He was a friend, a buddy, a supplier. Well, one of them. Yeah, exactly, bro. They all are playing that game, bro.
Simply, he goes, yep, I live next to him, but in 2005, I had such a horrible experience that I knew I could never talk to him again.
He was your neighbor for 10 years. How well did you know him?
We move in 2005, okay? Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 08, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. And there's a massage table in the middle of the room. Massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And
Okay. That part's probably true, but I just want to laugh at the fact that this dude has a massage table in the middle of his house. Like, you know how weird that is and how bad feng shui that is? Imagine walking into someone's house and all you see is a massage table. Where's your dining room, buddy? Oh, I just eat on the massage table. Like, what the fuck?
he says, every day. And then he like gets like weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
So he says, to him that he gets a massage every day and the right kind of massage. And what's funny to me is, oh, thank you for following, Lancaster. Well, you're about to see what's funny.
My
I just
wife
let it play.
is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say,
Thank you, Shug.
I'm sorry. We have to go.
Damn, I got the whole gang following me. Thank you, Seven
And
Lieben.
we left. And
So this guy claims, oh, I'm going to leave. We're going to leave now. All right, watch.
in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Well, he couldn't be more clear, could he, right? He says, hey, I may have been his next door neighbor, but I met him once before the 2008 guilty plea. Remember I said that was a big deal? And we got invited over and it was like 5 seconds and we left and we realized he was a creep. We were out of there. He made this rude, lewd comment in front of my wife. I would never go see this guy. I mean, he makes it super clear he's gross.
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
These other guys,
All right, so that's what his neighbor was saying, okay?
they may have participated,
They participated.
but Howard Lutnick, he could never. No, he's too good of a guy. Well, guess what we found in the old emails?
Bro, it's like these guys are so bad at just like lying. Bro, like, why would you put other people under the bus knowing that you're gonna get outed, my guy? Like, you don't think that's gonna make you look like an extra goofy clown?
Looky. It's Howard Lutnick riding in to Jeffy Boy in 2012. Hi, Jeff. We're landing in St. Thomas early afternoon, planning to head over. Where are you located? What's the exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? Is this the guy you said made a lewd comment to your wife? And, oh, I could...
I bet you Howard was all buddies with this guy, but the moment that EpiPen got put down, like in that position, everyone is gonna put it on him because he can't even defend himself anymore. And he was already indicted. So everyone's just gonna put blame on him because it's easier to have a scapegoat, to have all the blame so that you don't get any. It's insane.
Never be in front of him. He's gross. Guess what the next email is? My boy's wife messaging in, saying we're headed towards you in St.
The
Thomas
wife.
later.
The
subject
wife.
line, Jeffrey Epstein. Good morning, Howard. Jeffrey wished me to pass you along. Nice seeing you. They clearly met, and the guy is just lying about it to your face, to the American public's face, and they tried to hide it from us. I cannot emphasize this enough.
I gotta pee real quick, but I'm gonna keep this playing because I already seen this video.
They're lying through their teeth. You think this guy perfectly remembers a 2005, like walking in the guy's house? I remember exactly what I said to him. My wife and I looked at each other, and he wouldn't remember the 2012. I boated over to his private island for a dinner. Is that what we're really thinking? Is that what we're expected to believe? This is a momentary lapse in his judgment. No, these guys don't even care about being consistent. And they're all throwing each other under the bus. Don't you remember Elon Musk saying the time to drop the really big bomb? Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they haven't been made public. My guy, you also...
By the way, the Epstein deepfake videos are next level. Dude, I don't even want to get into those.
Are in the Epstein files very clearly doing stuff you lied about, okay? So is Howard Lutnick, who's...
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of like AI and stuff like with this whole thing.
Says, yeah, Bill Gates, he's probably getting blackmailed because he participated. What did you do on the island over in 2012, Howard? Do we know that? I mean, does anyone care? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is some of the most explosive stuff. It's also, again, I have to say, unverified, okay? This is the NTOC, the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. And the challenge with confirming some of this is that these are anonymous tips.
Yeah, Shug, Shug brings up a good point. You know, it is obviously we all have things going on in our lives, so it's hard to keep up with just all this stuff, right? I don't think people should ever forget about this stuff, as it is very important to know what's going on, especially with big people in like that impacts our lives, actually, like a lot of these people who are in here, obviously. But at the same time, you know, always prioritize the stuff going on in your guys' life. Of course, that's the thing about news. You never want it to be your life. If you're surrounded by news, like, I mean, even the streamers out there who are making money as political streamers only, it's a depressing hole to get into because it's dark, dude. Most of the stuff you see on the news is gonna be negative. So if you're only surrounded around this stuff, down this rabbit hole, it's gonna be bad. In my opinion, I mean, most people that I know, I mean, my girlfriend even had a problem like seeing just it's constant stuff. I mean, every single day we go online and there's some crazy shit going on right now. But just always know that you need to stay informed while not being like deeply obsessed. It's hard. There's a fine line. I've been pretty good so far with my life being informed, but I know it's hard. So I completely understand that shit.
Or they black them out at least, so we don't know who they are. And anyone can drop a tip.
And with the nothing ever happens, I don't think a lot of these people will have to go to trial at the end of this all. However, I do believe that the court of the public, us, will. I have faith that especially my age group, our age group, the generation above and the generation below, can hold some of these people accountable, because we will always remember. And I mean, meme culture makes it always a memory, right? I don't think they'll ever stand trial because they have just too much power, which is sad to say. And what's another thing that's interesting is every foreign person that was on the files, their country has completely exiled those people, whether it's been the Duke, Prince guy, whatever, the other people, like, they've all, but America is the only one, because I genuinely think there are too many powerful people in play here. And it does go so deep. I mean, there's the whole thing with, yes, they discussed the vid and all that stuff. I mean, we're going to get into that. I think it's in the next video.
Now, that doesn't mean that you should disregard them. It just means we can't verify them. The other challenge is that the FBI has a heavy incentive to discredit anything with Donald Trump in it, just because he's in the White House right now, obviously. And so I want to be clear, there are notes related to some of these submissions where they say things like complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate redacted. You know, it's hard to tell how much this is the proper due diligence of the FBI, which they should be doing, of course, and not all complaints are credible. But also there's this obvious conflict of interest with the fact that the sitting president is in some of these complaints. But here they are for what it's worth. Complaint summary. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit...
Bruh, 13 to 14. Brother. Oh, Arch, I didn't even notice your message. You said, I gotta stand up for this one. Do you remember about 2018 when the Epi Boy's death was a meme? I didn't know who he was. But yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's crazy how this is all folding out. I mean, honestly, dude, this could be our generation's, like, biggest tie. In, like, not tie, but, like, I don't know. This is bigger than, like, OJ and all that, you know?
President Trump while performing. Friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend also said she was abused by Epstein. Later, there's very explosive claims about big parties with her, other younger girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. There's claims third hand about a female victim of Epstein's who wants to publish a book citing Leslie Wexner, Epstein, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell is in the videos as well. And it goes on.
Yeah, I think this is going to be our generation and the next generation's genuine, like, it's bigger than Watergate for sure. Like, this is the biggest scandal in a long time. It ties so many big names.
Unlike this, for a while, some of the complaints are just like very graphic.
Oh my God.
And obviously,
I don't even want to talk about AJ Lancaster. AJ is a whole nother animal.
I'm going to censor out some of it. But I should also mention the DOJ claims that some of these claims were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had any shred of credibility, they would have certainly been weaponized against President Trump already. Now, I agree that if a complaint is timed right before an election, there definitely could be some other motivations to that. But it's also ridiculous to say that anything in the Epstein files, if it were true, would have come out already. Because why didn't we see the stuff about Bill Gates, for example? I mean, that stuff apparently has been sitting in here for a long time. And not only did no one talk about it, the FBI literally, like, covered for it. I mean, they said that this was not the case. There are big claims against a lot of powerful people. Nobody in that file really wants to rock the boat or release the files.
Oh, Watergate is during President Nixon's time. It was like a bunch of like dirty stuff that they did with espionage, things like that. It was a lot of stuff just so that they could avoid his like impeachment and stuff. It's a whole nother rabbit hole. I mean, that could be a whole video on its own. Like, you guys, I would recommend you guys look into that. It is pretty crazy.
Because then they get in trouble and their buddies get in trouble, and that's a huge problem. So I don't really buy the idea that, oh, if it were true, it would have already gotten out. I don't buy that. That's why we need transparency. That's why it's important these files are out. But this is just a little...
Yeah, I fully agree with Coffeezilla here. Also, Lancaster, I saw what you said. It gets dinged. I can't put it on here just because of monetization reasons. That weird. All right, so that's where we were just 5 days ago, okay? And the thing is, there's so many freaking files that now we have to get into the rest of the files. Coffee had to make a whole nother video.
Jeffrey Epstein responds.
I only watched half of this video, but we're going to watch it all together. It is another deep dive into more of the files. So far, we've talked mostly about Bill, Elon, and then his neighbor, Howard, mostly, okay?
It only gets worse from here. We're going back into the $3 million. Andor got blackmailed in the drafts, eventually killing their marriage. We talked about Howard Lutnick, how he lied about being Epstein, although he's clear. No one fought harder for the full release. Some people have responded to the release, like Elon Musk, saying that no one fought harder for the full release of the Epstein files than I did. Ironically, he claims that he knew that the playbook of the far-left propagandists and legacy media is admit nothing, deny everything, and making counter-accusations, saying...
What's crazy to me is people making this a political thing. I don't think this is a left or right thing at all. Like, at all. This is genuinely just a bunch of goofy goobers, bro. What?
He had never set foot on Epstein's creepy island or attended parties, despite the fact we saw last time that Elon was asking to be invited to the party. What day night would be the wildest party on your island? Nevertheless, I think it's an interesting point. The playbook, as we get into this much darker side of the 3.5 million files, you're going to notice this trend is true. That
that's a funny reel. Let me put it on screen. Suge put in this real conspiracy theorist right now.
Everyone we're going to talk about, basically they admit nothing, they deny everything, and then they usually make counter accusations against other people in the files. Almost no one has faced any kind of consequences for this.
I also think that like the only people defending these are just fanboys. I don't think it's a left or right thing at all. I genuinely think the only people who are preventing this are either one in the files, they have friends that were in the files, something like that of power, right? Or you're a fanboy. You're deep into the fandom hood of one of these people, and so you're gonna defend them ride or die. And I get it, because a long time ago, I'm talking like about like 5 years ago, I was an Elon fan. I understand. Then all this stuff started coming out. I started seeing his stuff on X, and I was like, you know what? I do not like this guy anymore.
This whole thing, leading me to wonder, why is it that it seems like really only in the rest of the world has anyone faced anything? I mean, you've got the former Prince Andrew.
Exactly, bro. Like, literally every other country is actually reacting to this, except the country that is most involved, us, bruh. Oh, Cash. I don't even want to talk about Cash, bro. Actually, I'm gonna talk about him. This dude right here. If y'all don't know about him, I don't even want to, bruh. This guy, I think he's also compromised, bro. I don't think he was on the file. I think he's compromised by a lot of people who are on there. I mean, look into it. Look into him and his wife. I don't want to say too much, but
Drew losing his title. You've got the Slovakia National Security Advisor
he's the head of the FBI right now,
resigning over the Epstein links. But in America, I'm really hard pressed to think of anyone who has actually faced any kind of accountability. I think.
So Cash is the head of the FBI, but like, even if you watch his Rogan appearance, I think this dude's like ultra compromised. I think he got put in that position of power because he can be. I don't know. In Minecraft, guys. Okay. I don't want to be saying anything. Also, I love my life. I love my cats. Speaking of, one of them says hi right now. Say hi. All right. He's not going to say hi, but okay.
Larry Summers stepped back voluntarily. But other than that, it's hard to think of anyone who's faced any kind of justice. In fact, arguably, Ghislaine Maxwell's life is better than it was previously since these Epstein files have dropped. And what's crazy about this is that we know that the government story is false. Remember, the FBI documents showed they had 10 co-conspirators they were investigating. We also got an old draft of an indictment where they had several co-defendants with Epstein. Now, of course, we know these were never ultimately charged. This was back in 2005, but just imagine all the way back in 2005 where...
So we had this knowledge somewhat public since 2005. Not the files, but like the, connections with EpiPen.
These charges are from. We already had evidence that Epstein...
But I bet you all of that got swept under the rug.
Epstein was not working alone, and of course he's not. But now we're going to talk a little bit about how the scheme operated. Now, to be clear, we're going to talk in a second.
Oh, this is going to be so interesting, guys. So what Coffee is going to dive in here is he's going to talk about how this whole project, the whole plans of EpiPen and how it worked, right? Like from, at least logically, if you look at the way that the emails are set up and things like that, how he got people to do certain things, it's really interesting. And also, he's going to talk about one more thing in here. Damn, I lost my train of thought, but it's really fascinating. Stay tuned for this.
Laundering of Epstein's reputation, the people who protected him this whole time. But right now, I want to talk about...
Woody Allen. That one. Just wait till Woody Allen gets in this too.
How Epstein got some of these girls in the first place, because the Epstein files provide an interesting look behind the curtains. Obviously, we know Ghislaine Maxwell was helping, whether it be procure the girls, talk them into stuff. But now we have emails of a different side of the scheme. It says, yesterday I spoke to Daniel Syed, who Jean-Luc Brunel describes as a scout or recruiter of girls or women for Jeffrey Epstein. Attached to this incoming email from Brunel is the contact information he has for Syed. And then they blacked out his number and email. But digging into Jeffrey's emails with Daniel shows that he was constantly sending him links to girls. It shows Jeffrey Epstein paying Daniel 3,000 euros, which, to be clear, was the amount that was agreed to by Jean-Luc Brunel, quote.
So, dude had a guy, Amir here, right? Or Daniel Syed, sorry. That was his scout. His scout for women. Or actually, not even women. You got girls. Bro, he had a scout for that. And he was getting paid 3,000 euros and 5% commission on any earnings from them modeling, okay? But just hear this.
Quote, Dominique, we will pay him 3,000 euros each month for scouting for a 6-month period. On all models we will get him, we will pay him 5% commission on their earnings. Imagine it's like baseball or it's like basketball. You're scouting for, I hate to use the word talent, but that's really what this guy was doing. He was going around the globe trying to find people for Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. According to one lawsuit, Epstein trafficked a Jane Doe to Jean-Luc Brunel many times. It describes their operation as this: many of the girls came from poor countries or impoverished backgrounds. He lured them in with a promise of making good money.
And they would work as models. Oh, sorry. Let me set up that camera. Models, okay? Sure. All right. Imagine extraterrestrials come to Earth and somehow we gotta explain these files to them, bro. That dude, I don't even think they want to visit us. If they found this stuff, they're like, nah, you know what? Let's just skip this planet.
Quote, Brunel has been a model scout for various modeling agencies for many years, and he was apparently able to get U.S. passports for young girls.
That's funny, Lancaster.
Work as models, eventually, of course, being sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it should be noted that Jean-Luc Brunel himself died in prison by hanging, and that's while he was being accused of horrible crimes related to trafficking and minors. So this guy is not a good guy. He was part of the op, along with Daniel Syed.
Yeah. This is often the way that a lot of them go for obvious reasons.
Who was also scouting on behalf of Epstein and
Jean-Luc
Brunel. They had their agreement. Here's a sample of how this would work. Jeffrey Epstein asked him to take a full body shot of someone. Daniel Syed says, now she is really skinny, I will do.
Bro, this is disgusting, dude. Look, okay. Take a full body shot of, you know, said model, and then 8 years ago. You want a full body shot of her 8 years ago? I'm so confused. And then some redacted stuff. Question mark, question mark. Now she is really skinny. I will do Polaroid. Ew, bro. What? You're describing a girl, bro. What the hell? Copy of passport? Okay, I will. How many tickets do you want for Woody? Okay, this is when Woody Allen gets into play. I'm going to let Coffeezilla take over.
Do Polaroid. Jeffrey Epstein asks for a copy of her passport and then asks, how many tickets do you want for Woody, meaning Woody Allen? He says 2. Okay, thank you. Full body if possible. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, doesn't look too happy. Comments on her body, and then he says she is very sweet. I'll skip a few of the sordid details here. They comment about her body extensively. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, I sent a request. Does she want to come out to Paris on Sunday? He says, I will invite to come. And this is basically how it worked.
Probably Lancaster. I'm not too sure, though.
Daniel Syed flew around the world looking for women, sending photos to Jeffrey Epstein, who then would get copy of their passports and bring him to the States. Here's an example of this. Daniel Syed brings him a girl. They didn't redact this name, but I'm going to do it. He says, very nice, easygoing, dream to work in the United States or visit the United States working as a model in Dubai. He asks age. Daniel says 22 or 23. I forgot to ask her. She looks younger. I have her number if you want to call.
Okay, so this one's at least of age, I think.
Call her. She was going to send this evening. And this happens over and over. At one point, he talks about a Thai actress. Jeffrey Epstein says he can see her on Wednesday, and then he complains that she wants to meet in a restaurant. I don't do that in New York, and then says she didn't even respond. Not nice. The point is, a lot of these girls were looking to come to the United States for one reason or another, for some kind of dream. They would ask for passports or visas.
I mean, dude, their target for their victims, it was smart what they're doing because these girls are in need of a passport or need of money. So they find this way. Dude, it's so disgusting.
He says, and then ultimately get sent here.
Drinking coffee. Just coffee. Espresso that I made at the house. I made an Americano.
By this
Iced.
network of people who would later be accused of trafficking or other abuses. Now, to be clear, there have not been charges against Daniel Syed, and the government, remember, says they have no evidence to go even predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So it's a little bit bizarre to be reading about this scouting operation for Jeffrey Epstein, the way he recruited girls, and then be told, yeah, nothing to see here. Yeah, one of the scouts was like this, like, who himself in jail. But no, there's no one else here, even though there's definitely guys floating around. Even though we literally have redacted defendants in our old draft of an indictment. We have nothing to do. We can't possibly imagine doing anything. And that brings me to one of the frustrating parts of these whole files is the redactions. I mean, I know I've been over this, but it's a different thing. In the past, the files were sort of overly redacted to protect people. The problem this time is not only are a lot of people still being protected, like literally the names of the people they were going to charge, you couldn't argue those are victims, but the work was just done so sloppy that oftentimes you'll find that the DOJ...
Oh, this is what's fascinating. So the DOJ comes out and released these files, right? But the first time they released it out, most of the files were not... who they said they were going to redact, the victims, weren't even redacted. And then they released it, they're like, oops. And then they did it with the redaction, but it was too late. We already know which one's which. This made my wife crash out last night. Oh, yeah, 100%, Nick. Nicholas, I totally can get why. My girlfriend and I both were just like, what the hell is going on here?
DOJ has uploaded 2 documents that are functionally identical, and they redacted one, but not the other, letting you see what's ultimately behind the mask, which is dumb because...
So it comes to show you that they were just really, or I'm not sure, I'm not going to allege anything, but allegedly they're showing that the DOJ is redacting just the names of people with power because they didn't even redact the victims when they first released the docs. Like, what? How do you fuck up that bad? That you had one job, bro.
Sometimes the thing they're redacting is Jeffrey Epstein's name. Or other times it's somebody who clearly is not a victim because then you see the non-redacted copy and you're like, yeah, that's clearly not a victim.
Who do you guys have working on this? Like redactions of the files? I'm really curious because like, what?
So it's a little strange what they seem to have done here. Let me give you a for instance. So we have this message from somebody whose name is blacked out. And we see participants, and then we see Jeffrey Epstein is involved, right? And it says, we need to work around your 38. We need to push back on the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Now,
so they were already pre-planning because of his whole indictment. This was back in 2019, okay? So this is when everyone was, finding out slowly. They were already planning a way to crush the narrative that we would have about him being a PDF and a traffic guy. Isn't that insane that they're having conversations on how can we manipulate the public to think of me as a philanthropist instead? It's just... And Shug says, I think the whole thing is bait. It can't be that stupid. It's just another thing for us to focus on. Probably, maybe. Who even knows now, man? I can believe in anything at this point. All the deflection away from the administration. I mean, they threw all of Hollywood under the bus. Yeah, I think, dude, this way too many has play. I'm talking Hollywood, the government. Like, bro, there's way too many people at play here. Like, it's insane how big this cult was.
And crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Now,
Arch, I'm going to argue that if this came out 20, 40 years ago, no one would have found out. Because the way media was set up back then, you could only hear what they wanted you to hear. So now it's a little bit different because there's so much technology. There's so many people who can do investigative work versus back then. Back then, 20 to 40 years ago, something like this happened. We, to this day, might not even know about it. It probably was happening shit with other people.
I want to know who's doing that. Who's trying to rebuild Jeffrey Epstein's image, right? Well,
guys, get ready for this. Listen to Stephen Hawking didn't want to go. It was just stick drift. That's funny. Dude, also, the Stephen Hawking thing is so funny because Elon Musk didn't even get an invite, technically, but Stephen Hawking did, bro. Okay, I'm sorry. That's fucked up. I should not be joking about this, but all right. But look at what Coffee's about to talk about here is the team that they put together to crush this narrative. So that they could switch his narrative to being a philanthropist. Okay, listen to the team that the starting 5 lineup.
Go ahead. We scroll down and we see that Jeffrey Epstein sends something. He says, in any bar where drinking age is 18, and you see the participant is once again blacked out. But underneath it, in a separate file, you see
Wait, I want to read that. In any bar where drinking age is 18, I guess that 10% of patrons are under 18. They sneak in, they have a fake ID, their friends bring them in, and that is with guards at the door. The owner gets a fine. Every bar in Florida, there is no intercourse. Okay. Weird thing to be messaging.
Participant is one. Steve Bannon, a famous political figure, is in here, and he's saying the same thing. He says, first, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist.
So Steve Bannon is one of the first guys that is mentioned where he's going to help EpiPen protect his image, okay? And Steve here is the executive and former White House chief strategist. White House. This shows you how deep this runs, bro. This runs deep, dog.
Philanthropist. Guys, why did you censor out his name? Or like, why was that censored at all? I don't understand. And I certainly don't understand why Jeffrey Epstein's name in this one is censored. So Jeffrey...
Dude, the redaction people are so cheeks. How do you redact EpiPen's name? The literal person that everyone knows. And it's also obvious the conversation's
not censored in this one, but Bannon is, and then Bannon's not censored in this one, and Epstein is.
And there's a picture of them. Well, actually, I think a coffee put that together, but still.
And sometimes this creates the bizarre impression that they are censoring for victim names or for some like kind of victim status or for some reason. And then you see the other file and you're like, wait, why did you do this? It's just very poorly done throughout. That's just something I wanted to comment on. Is not only did they once again not fully redact things because they were sloppy, but also like victims' names got stuck in this. Like girls' names appear sometimes, and like I'm not sure are they supposed to be redacted because they're redacted over here. They're not over here. I can kind of figure out who it is. It's just kind of a mess. I needed to point that.
Yeah, they redacted like some names and then didn't some.
Out. You know, other times we have things like this, like Brock Pierce, a
Bro, look at this. Everything is redacted, dog. What?
Founder of Tether, also known as the biggest stable coin in the world. He sent a message to Jeffrey Epstein with the subject line Anastasia, and then it's just a...
And it's going to have Anastasia being one of the models more than likely and a bunch of pictures of her.
Bunch of redacted stuff with a few untitled JPEGs in here. And so, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what is this?
Oh, it said Ukraine is the country
untitled JPEGs
that she lives
in here.
Ukraine is now my favorite country. Ugh.
And so, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what is this? Is he sending some illicit?
Also, this comes to show people like email and like messaging and stuff. You're idiots. People can get access to this, dog.
Media? Like what?
Why even bother if it's redacted like that? I agree, but get ready, Nick, because they didn't even redact it because they released it.
Well, then we have this page where it wasn't redacted. I put that little dark square that I didn't know if this should have been redacted or not. It's like a bunch of JPEGs.
So they release what seems to be the same image or another image with it unredacted.
Now, does that contain victims?
So I think the DOJ is just lazy as shit, or they could be doing this intentionally. I allegedly, or they're just fucking awful at their job, bro. What the hell is this?
Is Brock Pierce sending photos of victims? I don't know because of the way the government did this. But underneath it says the Ukraine is now my favorite country. Smiley face Brock Pierce with the subject line Anastasia. I don't know what to make of that. I'm just saying the redactions, like the way they did this, is not good. But now let's return to Steve Bannon and his we're going to crush the trafficking narrative. Because this guy, oh boy, has been revealed in the files to being like Jeffrey's right-hand PR man. I mean, this guy was filming basically a documentary about...
Yes, so Steve here, it was at the time planning on filming a documentary in the objective to clear EpiPen's name.
Jeffrey Epstein in order to rehabilitate his image. And some of it has actually leaked to the public. It's been interesting to watch how that's been received. But the funny thing is that originally Jeffrey Epstein's plan was to just do a YouTube video. Like,
bro, a YouTube video. Dude, I could just imagine EpiPen doing the Logan Paul, like, unaliving Forrest apology.
Like an apology, like a old school 2016, turn on the camera for authenticity and saying, you know, he says... Do you think I can do my own video interview
Arch, LOL.
and upload it to YouTube? No sandbagging, interview format, or like a diary piece. Steve Bannon says, if you do an interview, it can't be like Johnny does at YouTube. It has to be amazingly professional and perfectly cut. Then Jeffrey Epstein responds, Woody, we assume Woody Allen.
They were gonna. This is how Woody Allen gets to play a role. They were gonna ask Woody Allen, assumingly it's him because it says Woody, to edit the doc.
Because they were close, said he would help edit. Not sure how to stage, what points to make, but better than trying to do an interview that I have no experience.
So they were gonna have a whole boardroom like styled movie doc just to clear his name.
Doing. Goal is to humanize the monster. Anything
Humanize the monster. Think about that. They out loud, EpiPen says that about himself. Think about what that says.
written carries little weight, to which Steve Bannon replies, yes. Jeffrey Epstein, should it be an interview format, interviewed by me? They start talking about, like, how do we do this? Humor, apology, how did I get rich? Question mark, comments. Their brains are, how do we trick the public into seeing me as more than...
And it also shows you, like, how many people out there making these docs are just trying to manipulate a narrative, you know, after certain situations. Even we saw it in the Diddy case. Diddy was gonna have a documentary made for him, but then he got indicted, and then 50 Cent actually ended up using the footage. And LOL, we got him in chat. EpiPen's in chat, guys.
And a monster. Now, funny enough, right before this, Jeffrey Epstein asks about a dinner with Woody, and then he says, or too many pedos in...
Dude, oh my God. EpiPen literally says dinner with Woody, or is that too many PDFs in one place? Bro.
One place.
Way to just out yourself.
And you gotta love the self-awareness there. Now, I don't know what he meant by that, to be clear. I'm not making that accusation against Woody Allen. We'll talk about him in a second.
Yeah.
That,
we don't know who he is. Yeah, it could be anything, right?
That's Jeffrey Epstein saying that. I think what's interesting to point out, though, is how all these rich and powerful people are circling the wagons to try to protect Jeffrey Epstein's reputation, right?
Yup.
This is a guy who at this point has been known for years to have pled guilty to these 2008 charges. This was an open secret. And so Steve Bannon goes along, though, anyways, and he films this documentary. Now, what's interesting is he starts talking about the documentary, and he starts saying, I'm watching our second hour now. Guys were blown away. I didn't think it was as strong at the time, but I was wrong. Need huge part about threat of AI versus reality, threat of climate change. And this is where the notes start going back and forth of, how can we get you to think of other things? So part of the conceit of this big interview of Jeffrey Epstein was to try to humanize him and actually present him as this genius, everyman, quirky guy with a few flaws, right? They knew they couldn't run away.
Yeah, a few flaws, like literally trafficking, bro.
From the crimes. To quote, in Bannon's words, yes, of course, but we must counter who traffics in female children to be raped by world's most powerful, richest men. That can't...
Yes, of course, but we must counter our word who, you know, traffics in female children to be R word by world's most powerful, richest men. You hear that? They're literally saying it, bro. That can't be redeemed, and that's why we must blow up the argument.
Be redeemed. Can't redeem the unredeemable. You are a lot of things which we'll show, but you are not that. Bannon is aware that, like, they can't fully embrace the Epstein thing. They have to kind of make it about more than that. And if you see the YouTube clip going around, that's what that is. And it's been so interesting to watch the reaction, because you see, even for people who've been prepped with the idea that this is basically propaganda, some of them still fall for it. They post things like, you know, oh, bro is casually confirming the world's conspiracies because he's talking about 2008. But guys, that's the whole deception. They're like trying to be like, hey, this guy, this horrible monster, he's going to tell you the secrets of the inside club. So you think more, that's the whole thing. That's how they're getting away with this. It's not some kind of, oh, he happened to want to talk about this. This is all premeditated. This has gone through revisions. They even called Jeffrey Epstein the smartest guy in the room.
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room, right? You know that.
It's honestly ridiculous anyone believes the false conceit of, you're obviously the smartest man in the room. You could tell us the world's secrets. I mean, this guy, honestly, he talks about some of his engagements, like with the Rockefeller board, and he tries to say that owning a calculator is why he got that.
It was very advanced in those days to have a Texas Instruments calculator, where it could, by putting in the numbers, it would multiply for you to do square roots.
Oh, this is when they were trying to spin his narrative that he's like, oh, I'm just a I'm just a technology smart guy.
And that was the first, and everyone who had a calculator was already advanced on Wall Street. The most important parts of business were really now going to calculations. Places like Rockefeller needed someone to say, look, we're entering a different world where numbers and the numbers of companies, portfolio management was going to be balanced. It was going to be statistical. Jeffrey, could you come on the board, potentially sit on the finance committee?
The FB pen in chat is so funny.
We're supposed to believe that Jeffrey Epstein got onto this prestigious Rockefeller board because he had a calculator, but also that he's the smartest guy in the room, the smartest man on Wall Street.
Get the hell out of here.
And let's not talk about those horrific crimes he committed because, you know, he's not really such a
I think I did good
bad
there.
guy after all. But it wasn't just Steve Bannon that was trying to humanize or giving advice on how to humanize Epstein. It was also Richard Branson, the famous billionaire. He was caught.
Dude, Richard Branson is a whole nother animal. If you guys don't know this dude, he's another billionaire. Dude, I watched his interview on Conan. He is such a creep, bro. He is genuinely the type of guy. He owns like Virgin Mobile or Virgin Group, whatever, all the company of that, and like the airlines and stuff. This dude, man, you guys should watch his interview on Conan. Actually, I might pull that up in a second. Let's pull that now. Richard Branson, Conan. Dude, this is so bad. So it's Richard Branson M-wording Salma Hayek, which is like a beautiful actress, and Conan, and telling personal S stories. And Conan was actually uncomfortable with the situation and literally called him out for it too. I unfortunately need to leave since I can't stomach things like this for too long. Hope stream goes. Oh yeah, I totally understand, Zero. Thank you so much for even stopping by. All right, so Steve goes on, right? And then right off rip, look at what he does. Right off rip. Grabs her, a young actress. She is visibly uncomfortable. And Conan is uncomfortable. And thank God Conan says something. I love Conan. He was probably one of the best like talk show hosts. I don't know why it's so dark.
What's his name? Where does he
She
live?
said she has a boyfriend.
Does this work for you wherever you go? Only a billionaire could walk in the room, grab Salma Hayek, and throw him on his lap.
She got you to take your clothes off, so I thought, you know.
Yeah. Rest of us try that. It works out different. All right, now, first of all, welcome to the program. Very nice to have you here. And I want to start talking about the airlines. I've never flown your airline. Not because I don't want to. I just have not had the opportunity to fly Virgin Airways. And I've heard some amazing things about it.
It is wonderful.
But yeah, he has her like massage. It's weird. And Conan the whole time is so uncomfortable. Actually calls him out for it and tells her, yo, if you ever touch her again like that, like, bro, we're gonna have to stop. It's so gross. But anyway, so we're talking about this guy, okay?
Emailing Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Dear Jeffrey, it was really nice seeing you yesterday. The boys in water sports can't stop speaking about it. Anytime you are in the area, would love to see you as long as you bring your harem." I don't know, that's not that
He literally straight up said harem.
ambiguous, guys. I think we can imagine what that means. But anyways, he says, one, I think if Bill Gates was willing to say that you've been a brilliant advisor to him, that you slipped up many years ago by sleeping with a 17-and-a-half-year-old and were punished for it, that you've more than learned your lesson. And
Bill Gates, because at the time, Billy here had a good rapport with the public at the time, or at least a relatively neutral one. And so they were going to have him in 2013 be a part of their little, cleaning up his image idea.
I've done nothing that's against the law.
And also for sleeping with a 17-and-a-half-year-old woman. Bro, it don't matter, dude. Anything, bro, you're gross.
And yes, as a single man, you have a penchant for women, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, something along those lines. He's giving him PR advice. How to get your reputation back. Hey, Jeffrey, privately, I loved you. You can come back anytime with your harem. Jeffrey Epstein responds, nice seeing you. Thanks for your hospitality. I appreciate your public relations thoughts. Now, according to the New York Times, a Branson representative said the two had a business meeting and stressed the women were adults and had not attended the meeting. All above board. That's what everyone says, by the way.
Still weird and gross, even if it was.
Remember what Elon Musk said, right? That's the playbook.
Admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusations against me.
Admit nothing, deny everything. Speaking of, remember Howard Lutnick, who we showed on video saying that he had never seen Epstein since 2005?
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business,
the neighbor,
or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
Although also calling him the greatest blackmailer ever.
This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Well, also according to the Times, Lutnick said he spent 0 time with him, even though there are emails basically to the contrary, where Epstein is saying, nice seeing you after the conviction. I mean, these people, not only are they lying, they won't even admit when they've been caught lying. But now let's talk about Prince Andrew, too, who was caught lying over a woman.
That is disgusting, bro. What the fuck? This last one, what are you even doing, bro?
Kind of a part. I mean, just not a good.
And this is definitely blackmail. It literally, the message said, dangerous.
But this is not doing you any favors, you know. I know Prince Andrew soon will probably be on the comeback tour. It's going to be a bunch of highly paid PR execs. Maybe Steve Bannon can jump in, shoot another 5-hour podcast trying to rehabilitate him. Like, Prince Andrew, what's the secret behind the royal family?
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room.
But again, has he admitted anything? Has he denied everything? Now, we should also probably talk about Noam Chomsky as well, the guy behind the book Manufacturing Consent, which in hindsight...
Manufacturing Consent was the book that this guy wrote, okay?
Maybe we should have suspected something. But either way, he also sends some reputational advice to his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. He says, I watched the horrible way you've been treated by the press and public. It's painful to say. But I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. When the vultures dearly want is a public response, which then provides a public opening. In general, I think it's best not to react unless directly questioned, particularly in the
So he's getting help from all these people, too. That insane.
Current mood. That's the best advice I can think of. No. Now, he sends that to Matthew Hiltzik of Hiltzik Strategies, who is a also famous PR guy, I guess, trying to help Epstein, I assume, who responds, I think that is wise. Now, later talking with Bannon, Epstein loops in Hiltzik again. He says, Matt Hiltzik thought your idea was epic. Hypocrisy of the liberal left. And he says, yep, he would confidentially like to sit.
It's almost like these guys are trying to help this guy so that they could stay in this club. Like, it's very similar to that. It's very fraternity-like, and it's just weird.
And help if you like. This is Matthew Hiltzik, you know, a lot of powerful people.
He was the prince for the Island Boys.
Well, basically, we're bending over backwards, left, right, center, trying to rehabilitate this guy's image. And the question is, why? Why were all these guys so interested in their precious Jeffrey Epstein if they had no involvement? I mean, that's the part I can't figure out. Because all of them deny it. All of them don't admit anything.
All right, so up to this point, I didn't watch this video, so this is all new to me.
And so what exactly is the problem? But now it's time to talk about Elon Musk's brother, Kimball Musk. He was also in the files. Jeffrey was copied on an email talking about Kimball's 40th birthday, where the password to the secret party was P Riot. And then
Bro. What?
in all caps.
That's the actual password to the door of Elon's brother's. And it's crazy because Elon's brother gets a party, but Elon didn't even get invited.
Boris,
I mean, he might have been invited to this one.
I am not joking about the password. This was in 2012 in September. Now that's important because a little bit later, Kimball Musk is emailing Boris Nikolic and Jeffrey Epstein, and he's talking to them about being connected with some redacted name and saying, I believe you both played a role.
Oh, Clink. EpiPen joined chat a while ago. He's been trying to clear his name, you know.
Role, whatever that means. Now, whether this was at the party or, you know, right after their meeting.
It's so we could get a first-hand account. I actually paid top dollar to get EpiPen to come back from the grave just to join this chat here. So this is your one and only chance to talk to him.
In October, I don't know. But what's interesting is Boris responds and says, Kimball, just FYI, you better be nice to redacted. Jeffrey goes crazy when someone mistreats his girls/friends, so better be very nice to her. Kimball Musk responds, message received, wide and clear. Then he says, seriously, I'm very happy with my time so far with Jennifer. She's great.
Bro, why would they redact the other name, but then not redact it here? What the hell?
Great. Now, again, was that supposed to be a redacted name we just read? Like,
It just sounds like the other name was Jennifer. Like, what? Yeah, passes papers. He just faked it.
I don't know. They've been redacting it in earlier emails. Then all of a sudden you just get Jennifer. I can't really figure that out.
Dude,
but
the redaction's so bad.
Is that a little while later, a few days
they
later,
also talked to Jen
Jeffrey
again.
Epstein gets an email. Now we know Kimball credits the meetup and says Boris and Epstein were responsible in some way for this. But now Jeffrey Epstein's being emailed about Jin's schedule. Is that Jennifer?
Still not redacted.
It seems like it because Jin's schedule for the rest of the year, and it seems like the assistant has copy and pasted Jin's response because she says, Sue, these would be dates in November, and then starts.
They literally had the schedules of their quote unquote models sent out to rich men. Let's just think about that for a second, okay?
Saying, she can go to New York. She says the 29th to the 7th, she's free. Kimball to New York. Then she says...
It's almost like booking an appointment to like get your nails done or something. Like, this is absolutely absurd.
Kimball, Jen, London. Kimball, Jen, London to Morocco, ? Then she has a break, and then it's Jen, Kimball, St. Bart's. Assuming we're not sick of each other by the end of November. Now, I can't figure out why is she running this schedule about when she's hanging out with Kimball, who Jeffrey set her up with. Like, why is she running this by Elon Musk? To be clear, I don't know. There could be, I guess, innocent explanations for this. Maybe, I don't know. But all I see are constant, powerful people either being introed to girls, talking about the harem, talking about beautiful ladies, and the FBI, they can't figure it out. They have no.
Yeah, well, it's crazy that the FBI is supposed to be on top of this, and they're just like, oh, we just don't know. Like, dude, they are not doing their freaking jobs, bro. Like, are you kidding me?
To even investigate
Allegedly.
third parties. Why? I guess because they're rich and powerful. Around the world, we're seeing resignations. We're seeing people lose their status. But here in the United States, we've got like multiple presidents in the files. We've got the world's richest man in the files, several of the world's richest men in the files, and we just can't drum up any kind of evidence. It's just incredible to me. Now, I also want to talk about another rich and powerful person, and that is Peter Attia. He's a podcast bro. He's a longevity expert. And actually, funny enough, I read his book, and that's going to come into play here in a second because, oh boy, did I get some additional context. But let's start here with something that Peter Attia sent.
Got a fresh shipment.
Jeffrey Epstein. He says, subject, got a fresh shipment. And then Epstein responds, me too, and there's a completely redacted...
Dude, that's disgusting. Please tell you found that picture online.
Is that a girl?
Bastard.
Is this bad redactions? We don't know, although we'll find out in a second because later Peter responded to this. But Peter says, please tell me you found that picture online. Jeffrey responds, got a fresh shipment. Afraid not. Peter responds, the biggest problem with becoming friends with you. The life you lead is so outrageous, yet I can't tell a soul. Why, Peter? Why can't you tell a soul? Why don't you tell us now? Now that it's all out in the open, why don't you tell us why you can't tell a soul?
Everybody knows your messages now, too. Why not go out and tell the truth? People are scared, dude. There's too many people connected.
Secrets or the life that Epstein leads. And then we get another redacted photo, right? And then some more images. And Peter says, please tell me that's not where you actually are. And Jeffrey says, you can see the gym in the middle, just me and 4. And Peter says, I think you might have a more interesting life than the Dos Equis guy. Is this
a wild thing to say?
It's off the coast of France? No, it's my island in the Caribbean near St. Thomas. If you go to the Google Earth and type in Little St. James. Beautiful. Isn't that nice? Behind closed doors, it's beautiful. In public, we'll hear about what a monster this guy is, right? But behind closed doors, when nobody's watching, oh, it's beautiful. There's some other stuff Peter Attia said, which I'm not going to get into. I don't think it's very...
Bruh. What?
There's a...
Bro, it literally said... Who said that? The Peter guy said that? Or whatever it is. Attia said a girl's private area is indeed low carb. Ew, dude.
Appropriate for medical professionals. I'm not going to get into. I don't think it's very, appropriate for medical professionals to be saying such things.
Bro.
But, this wasn't all business, right? This wasn't just doctor-patient kind of stuff. There's a lot of
that was nasty.
Guy talk, a lot of banter between the fellas about ladies. And maybe that's why Peter Attia says that hopefully Jeffrey Epstein is in town when I'm back in 2 weeks. I go into Jeffrey Epstein withdrawal when I don't see him. So guys, these two were close. I mean, apparently so close that, Peter Attia goes into withdrawal when he doesn't see him. Peter Attia says, are you on island? Jeffrey Epstein says, P Beach, probably Palm Beach. And he says, what do you do when you get there? Jeffrey Epstein, guess. Peter Attia, besides that,
It seems like everyone literally knows what EpiPen was doing.
I mean, they're not even trying to hide it, guys. This is barely code at this point. You know, what do you do? Yes, well, besides that, Jeffrey, we know what you do, right? So it's so funny that the FBI's like, we don't know. We can't tell what's out there. We have no evidence, right? No evidence.
Everyone pretends now, oh, we don't know what it is. Dude, come on.
Evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties and then proceed to dump on us a ton of evidence, at least to investigate, right? I'm not saying these people are guilty. Obviously, all of them deny, don't admit, blame other people, say other people are responsible for everything. So that is taken as a given. I'm not accusing anyone here. I'm just saying, seems like we got a few leads here, fellas. Some people to look at. Now, I want to address the fact
and the fact that, like, the FBI or any group has not looked into these people specifically just shows you that they're probably compromised as well. I mean, allegedly, I don't know.
Peter Attia has actually responded to this whole debacle. He says the following email is what I sent my team last night. I sent a similar version to my patients as well. You put your trust, your credibility, your hard work, what we built together, and I take that responsibility seriously. You deserve a complete and honest account of what did and did not happen. I apologize. I did not get this out sooner. I wanted to be thorough. He says, I was not involved in any criminal activity. My interactions had nothing to do with his abuse or exploitation of anyone. I was never on his plane, never on his island, never present at any parties. That's
But you were still close to him, though, and you still knew what he was doing, even if this were all true, because you literally alluded to the fact that you knew.
Said, I apologize and regret putting myself in a position where emails, some of them embarrassing, tasteless, and indefensible, are now public. So it's this apology.
You're apologizing for being caught, brother.
He addresses some things, and he says that some of it's just banter, right? Like I said, it's just guy talk, whatever that means. He claims
Says it's just tasteless banter, guy talk right there. I mean, like, no,
that
dude.
his got a fresh shipment was in reference to a photograph of bottles of metformin, and then Jeffrey responded with a photograph of an adult woman. I responded with crude, tasteless banter. He says one line in that exchange about his life being outrageous and me not being able to tell anyone is being interpreted as awareness of wrongdoing. That's not how I meant it at all. What I was referring to poorly and flippantly was the discretion commanded by those socials and professional circles. The idea you don't talk about who you meet. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Oh, Peter, this seems like revisionist history a little bit. I mean, personally, to me, as I'm viewing this, third hand, right?
I agree.
Just from the outsider perspective. Now, Peter says he did ask Jeffrey about his 2008 conviction because all this happened afterwards, right? He characterized it as prostitution-related charges in 2018. I learned that this was grossly minimized. I was incredibly naive to believe him, and then later explains that in 2018, November, he read the Miami Herald investigative article, told him he needed to accept responsibility for what he did, and said he even asked Epstein to provide therapy to Epstein's victims, which is an interesting approach to have.
What?
Now, the funny thing is, there are some more emails between Peter Attia that we need to read, because remember that he said he read this 2018 article from the Miami Herald. I believe it's this one by Julia K. Brown in November 28th. It's about Jeffrey Epstein assembling a large cult-like network of underage girls. But in December, Peter Attia says, home is very good, work stressful, making some changes. He asks him, what's the fallout from the recent story?
Literally addressing it.
The Miami Herald.
Dude, how do these people, like all these big figures, not realize that the public will see all the bullshit now? Everything is online now. Or not everything. A lot of things are redacted. But I'm saying, like, we can see a lot of your guys' messages, bro.
Maybe I just didn't see the emails, that where he was demanding accountability. I don't know what that's about. But Jeffrey Epstein says, same as usual, just tougher. Peter Attia says, legally, any change. Jeffrey Epstein, 0. So,
Wild.
I don't know. Maybe this whole, you got to provide therapy to, these victims happened. I haven't seen it yet. I definitely could see it. But it's just kind of shocking. I just kind of don't buy it. Like the whole, is there any change legally? That more sounds like you're covering yourself. I mean, just to be honest. But maybe I could look past all of that, if not for the thing we're about to see, which just in my mind is maybe the worst thing I've seen.
What's this? I haven't seen this yet.
Not for its, explicitness. The amount of simping that people did for Jeffrey Epstein. Now they all say, oh, it was a personal mistake, blah, blah, blah. I regret it. I didn't look into it enough. But the level is just, you've never seen anything like it. So remember I said I read a book by Peter Attia. It was called Outlive, and he's supposed to be this doctor who knows a lot about longevity. So he writes it, and I picked it up because at the rate we're getting rid of these crimes, I need to live forever in order to try to stop some of these scams. But as I put up this book, and one of the things in the book is Peter Attia kind of reflecting internally about how he's kind of been a bit, and I'm paraphrasing here, but a bit of a psycho in his life, and he needed to focus on family stuff. And so he it's almost a confessional of some embarrassing things in his life. And honestly, it comes off as very vulnerable, very self-reflective. He's this doctor telling other people what to do, but he's not a very good patient. That's kind of how it comes
Okay.
off. And one of the stories is awful. I won't go too much into it, but basically his son has this horrible medical emergency. It's described in this book like this. A few months ago, Tuesday, July 11th, 2017, that date is important. At 5:45 to be exact, I received a call from Jill, my wife. She was in an ambulance with our infant son. Now, again, I'm not going to get into the details here because, it's tragic, and I'm not trying to bring that into it. What is relevant is that Peter Attia talks about how he stayed in New York and didn't show up because he was, quote, busy with his important work. Even today, just thinking about what happened, I feel nauseous about my behavior. I can't believe I did that to my family. Now, at the time I read that and I was like, well, it's at least as good that you self-reflected on that. It's horrible, but, you were a bit of a psycho. But what's crazy?
What did he do?
Now we find out some of the important work. It's a little unclear, but some of the important work may have been Jeffrey Epstein, which is...
Bro, ain't no way. I had a feeling it was going here. There is no way. Let's get into this.
It's so dark to imagine. Remember, he says July 11th, 2017 is when this all happened.
And then he didn't go because he had important work within those 10 days.
And then he says he did not come home to San Diego until Friday the following week, 10 days later. So July 11th, 2017.
So now we have July 13th, which is 2 days after the infant child got into, the hospital.
2 days after this.
And I wonder, is he still married with that wife? Peter. Oh, they are still married, huh? Wait, yeah, interesting. I wonder what she thinks about this, huh?
This happens. He's talking to Jeffrey Epstein. And they seem to be coordinating about something. Sure, what time? Jeffrey Epstein, 9:30. Peter Attia responds, sure, I can come earlier. Also, if you have a hard stop at 10, let me know. You're hanging out with Jeffrey? I don't know what to say. This is out of pocket. There's no explanation for this. I didn't see this in the response from Peter. Maybe he thinks he addresses it because he already admitted that was like scummy. But that is just... There's a reason that didn't make it in the book. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't see that in the book when I read it. I was actually, one of the things I needed to do, my important work was seeing or talking to Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that weird? That's the simping that I'm talking about. Is these people love this guy. Or that's how it seems to me. What are all these rich and powerful people doing? Protecting him, missing emergencies for Jeffrey, fawning over Jeffrey, asking for Jeffrey's harem, saying their biggest problem is the life they lead is so outrageous they can't tell. So, what is going on here? And is it true they all didn't know, right? Because, I'm reading these documents, and it's hard to say who exactly knew what, when. But I don't.
And by the way, after this, I'm going to dive into the Joe Rogan thing and before we go, because that's going to be the last thing I want to talk about.
Don't believe, remember, they're all denying it. I don't believe nobody knew, right? Clearly, some people knew what was going on, and there's all this kind of coded language in the files where they talk about this stuff almost in like a nudge-nudge kind of way. Here's some Woody Allen stuff. He was in the files. He says his business office, if you can make out the check to me, it looks very bad because then it looks like a gift to me. He says that to Epstein. He says, I don't want to be one of your women, or should I say, girls. And what's that? Oh, how do we... Come on, guys. But he says, I would be much more expensive than your girls. You wouldn't be able to afford me. Jeffrey responds, yes, the price to pay would be too high.
Talking to Woody Allen, okay?
Woody says, this will be a beautiful friendship. And then Jeffrey says, as long as I follow orders, smiley face. Woody Allen sends a message saying Woody says the exact same thing, but in a dirtier way. Jeffrey responds, what did he say? Woody Allen, are you kidding? I can't put it in writing. No evidence, no evidence.
Woody.
Come on. I think I see a little bit of evidence. I'm squinting, but I think I can see a little bit of evidence. Guys, like Jeffrey Epstein right here, where he's talking to a guy, he says, Paris with Woody, and the person responds, for le pedophile convention.
Bro. He's literally just saying it.
And Jeffrey says, I think pedophile is the plural. No evidence. Is that no evidence? That's nothing. We don't...
And the FBI is really not... come on, dude.
Even want to question these people. There's no investigations going on. So, yeah, it's honestly really sad to see how, look, I'm not saying people around the world are having crazy consequences, but a few people are resigning, thank goodness. You know, a few people are at least facing a little bit of scrutiny, but here Elon Musk lays out the playbook, apparently for our guys. You know, we admit nothing, we deny everything, and we blame others. We just push the spotlight onto other people. And unfortunately, that's what you've seen the whole time from all the people in the files. You know, all of them say, oh, I was so happy these files came out. It's about shining accountability and justice for the victims, but I had nothing to do with it. Okay, so then where's the justice for the victims? So nobody, you know, all of you say somebody else had something to do with it, but everybody says nobody had anything to do with it. The FBI says they don't have any other, you know, investigations, any other kind of...
All right, and now I want to talk about the final thing. I also thank you to Coffeezilla for breaking that down, because he is like the best journalist when it comes to like the files so far that I've seen, bringing up like actual things that need to be talked about. I highly recommend you guys check his channel out. But let's talk about Rogan, okay? Oh, thanks, Nadi, for subscribing. Okay, so so for those of you that don't know, Rogan, Joe Rogan has, you know, the podcaster. I mean, you guys all know who he is, but he has had now, I think, 9 people who have been directly linked to the files, right? And me personally, I don't think Rogan directly is on the files or anything like that. However, I think that these guys are purposely picking Rogan in a manipulative way to spin the narrative into their favor, because they know that his audience is very large, and they know that he's been so far with the files ever since very softball with questions. And like, look, we're going to dive into the direct clip from his podcast, the Epstein files. Okay. So this is a 15-minute clip talking about the files with, I believe, Mike Benz, who is connected directly to Elon. Okay. And, you know, the comments are crazy, but let's dive into the actual clip first.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
The point I'm getting to here is, given Jeffrey Epstein's involvement in the BCCI network, given Jeffrey's involvement in the 1990s with all the foreign policy activities happening in the Middle East at that time, given Jeffrey Epstein's, you know, involvement through, you know, the early 2000s Clinton era and everything, given his involvement in everything from Israeli to Saudi to British to French high-level government officials, Jeffrey Epstein was investigated by the SEC in the 1980s. He was one of the 2 people who ran the biggest Ponzi scheme in history at the time in the United States, the Towers financial collapse. Epstein's business partner goes to jail for like 30 years or 20 years or whatever. But Epstein skates completely free. Epstein gets involved in this huge fraud in the U.S. Virgin Islands with this, you know, like billion-dollar fraud case in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Never prosecuted for any of it. Why is that? Well, one is, you know, he may have we know in the U.S. Virgin Islands case, he was sponsoring the campaigns, basically, of the politicians there. The prosecutors answered to the politicians. Could be that. But I would be shocked if there, in 40 years of this Where's Waldo, Forrest Gump, he's always in the room, in 40 years of American foreign policy and intelligence activity, you know, money sourcing for that, for all the crimes that Epstein committed, the concern was the same one they had with Rolando Masfer. Don't bring the case, and if you do, bring it in a highly limited way. And that's exactly what happened in 2006, the first time he was indicted. Everybody was up in arms that it was a sweetheart plea deal. It gave protection to all co-conspirators, known and unknown. And
so I'm so confused. He's rambling, but he's not addressing even the question that he was asking. That's really weird. He just like danced around. He was like, well, you know, all this stuff that he's doing. Why is he doing it? Or like, how did he get away with all of this? And then doesn't even address it.
And it was swooped in quickly before.
Deepfake edited Joe Rogan is hilarious.
You know, there was a trial in full. So that
he looks kind of like a Joe if Joe and Tom Segura had a baby.
That lines of evidence couldn't be opened about the network.
It's just crazy that statutory rape is what took it all down.
R word.
Because it's underage hand,
blah 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 blah
hand jobs, right? That's what took it all down.
Underage, bro. We all know it wasn't just that, bro. Oh my god! And you know what pisses me off is that Rogan back in the day used to actually have some like journalism in him and would actually challenge real thought. Now he's just giving softball fucking questions, and it's kind of annoying to see. But
yeah, I mean, it seems to be what took Jeffrey Epstein down.
Kind of crazy.
Even that has a really interesting geopolitical history. There was a similar scandal.
This guy still didn't address what he brought up. How did he get away with all this? Probably because he was blackmailing everyone, or he had too many good ties. These people were probably in on it, bruh.
In the early 2000s with a private military contract.
He didn't even say anything about that.
Which again runs through this Adnan Khashoggi kind of Middle Eastern network. DynCorp got in trouble for trafficking, facilitating the traffic. It was a major U.S. military and CIA contractor for logistics and institutional support and military assistance on the ground for the U.S. military all over the world. They got in trouble basically trafficking underage kids to Middle Eastern sheikhs. And I believe in the early 2000s, and I believe the reason...
So how does it pertain to EpiPen, though?
That was alleged by Congress that they did that was to juice the deals with them. That basically, these people who were critical, if you're operating on the ground in Kuwait or, pick your Middle Eastern, country, in order to serve your purpose for the U.S. government, to be this...
By the way, I have to play it on 2x speed because this dude is like stumbling upon taking lots of breaks. It seems like he's a little nervous, just allegedly.
Outside, plausibly deniable, but extensively infrastructured professional support outfit on the ground. You need the support of the local government. You need the support of the local high-level officials. They need to be happy. And there's several currencies for that. There's financial payoffs, and there's other things they might like parties and young women.
Okay, yes. What he's saying here does pertain because this would be exactly what EpiPen was doing.
Especially in places where being with the very young female is not illegal. And so what DynCorp, I believe, got busted doing, and you can look up the DynCorp scandal here, was doing this, and I believe the argument was, well, you wanted us to do this thing on the ground. You wanted us to help the U.S. military and kind of covert support nodes that were happening here. We had to do it somehow. This is part of what helped us do that. I would not be surprised if the Epstein trafficking apparatus started with similar motivations. That's not necessarily for blackmail, but because it makes clients or customers or VIP people happy. It makes them.
Bro, you could have just said like that from the beginning.
Owe you something. It makes them want to get involved in a deal you do, even if the deal is not one they would ordinarily do, because they just want to stay close to you because you're their supplier of the thing, of their vice, of the thing that they want but can't get. If you're a 70-year-old billionaire, you can't walk into a bar and leave aside the underage thing. You can't walk into a bar, and meet an 18-year-old who's, I presume, these things.
But my thing is, why would you even want to meet an 18-year-old? Like dead ass, bro. Like what is the enticement for that at all? You ever talk to an 18-year-old when you're older? Half of them are fucking like TikTok brain, bro.
Facilitated.
They're literal iPad kids that grew up, bro.
at private parties. And it needs to, for
not all of them, some of them.
A lot of these guys, it has to be discreet. They've got wives, they've got reputations. And, there's an aspect of this that plays out at every institution. I worked at a New York law firm, and, there's ways that you can make partner. At least this was kind of the vibe that I felt like some people make partner because they're really good technically what they do. They're just amazing. They're just technical whizzes on the minutia of how to structure a merger or acquisition. They're just really great at structuring an offshore banking transaction, or they just know absolutely everything about tax law.
Dude, this guy's circling around
who move
like
up because of nepotism. They're the brother and the son-in-law of a major partner. There's some people who...
How the hell does this pertain to
make partner because they know they brought in one client who's just a really big rainmaker. Events, they've got, tickets to exclusive things, and the partners just like being around that person because they get access to that person in a currency that they can't get on their own. And that includes hosting, cool, exotic parties, having, attractive women. I've never been convinced that the central role of the Epstein young girl, in my view, sidebar of the Epstein money laundering story is that it was for blackmail.
Okay. That's a huge part. He said that he was not convinced that this was blackmail. Okay.
Part of this is because the moment Jeffrey Epstein officially threatens somebody with blackmail, and that person tells his wife, and that wife tells her friends, and that gets out to somebody else that knows Jeffrey Epstein's access goes away.
Is that true though? He literally in the documents threatened Bill Gates for blackmail. Like straight up, bro. Are you like actually restarted?
Overnight. That's the sort of thing that even a rumor of that spreading.
It doesn't make sense to look at it in that way though, because if you had so much blackmail on various people, no one would want to mess with you, period. Like in that way.
And nobody else is going to want to do business with them.
So you think people just assume it's blackmail because that is how you would blackmail someone?
Bro, that is the dumbest. People assume it's blackmail because that's how you would do it. Yeah, people assume things and connect the dots because logically that's what they would do, bro.
Especially underage girls.
I think it is very possible that there could have been indirect blackmail, meaning Epstein passes it on to an intelligence service, to a corporate espionage client or something, and they use that for their own purposes. But even then, I mean, imagine, for example, if, like on the Bill Gates thing, like there was Bill Gates gets an email, I have a video of you sleeping with this person, and or somebody much lower level. The moment they send that to the press, if in order to they figure they have nothing to lose. I mean, there's not.
Yeah, but if they send that to the press, you're getting your own reputation and other people's reputations fucked too, because he's gonna bring everyone down. Are you an idiot? Do you not understand how this works? Like it, and then in that position, Bill's reputation arguably is more important than EpiPen's, because EpiPen isn't the owner of literally Microsoft, my guy.
Not been anybody in the 7 years that's transpired who said I was personally blackmailed by Jeffrey. I think because the moment
no one said anything. You don't. Oh my God, this guy is pissing me off. You don't know if anybody said anything in regards of him blackmailing in 7 years, because people are getting unalived hangings that wanted to testify, brother. There's how people are scared of this situation because of how many people are tied into this. He got unalived, or allegedly he could have done it himself. I highly doubt it, but like, are you actually stupid?
That, nobody comes to your parties anymore. Nobody, you lose all the access. You lose.
It almost sounds like this guy was purposely set to be on this podcast. I'm just allegedly.
All the deal flow. You lose all the goodwill that you've generated because this rumor, people are very risk averse, especially at that level.
Right, but just to have it over their head and never use it, though.
Right. Well, I think.
And even though that was a softball question, that is true. To even have it over someone is something.
That what you
power.
Have is because he does his own nefarious stuff. He could compile it so that if they ever threaten him with something, he's now got something on them. And I've seen some correspondence that
is blackmail.
That looks like that might not be an impossible scenario.
Do you think that's how Jeffrey Epstein got in that position in the first place, that they knew he had this kink?
No, not at all. I mean, Anna Khashoggi had the same thing. Anna Khashoggi was running around with dozens of young and apparently underage girls. The whole time, I think that Jeffrey Epstein probably learned how powerful that can be through that network. Seeing that's what powerful people do. That gives them something that gets them a lot of local influence and wins them a lot of favor.
But that's a very specific illicit desire to want underage people.
Well,
how do you even find out that someone's into that?
Well, I don't think that the majority or anything close to it of the women were technically. I think it was largely very young, barely legal, so to speak. And I know that there were cases of underage, but I think.
Well, are we really addressing that there are even one of them that was under? Like, bro, it doesn't matter. Trafficking is trafficking. One, underage is underage. It don't matter how many. It's fucking disgusting.
Most of it was just
very, very young, but not.
It really sounds like they're trying to like a little bit of PR here. This is insane.
Not like
20-year-old
not
girls,
like 13
18-year-old girls
type thing. And then remember, because
EFTA,
this is an international enterprise, and many of the clients are like in countries that don't necessarily have the same norms about that that we.
What is that, Neolus? I can't seem to find it.
You can very easily see someone getting involved in that just because girls juice deals. And so I don't think that Epstein, I've not seen evidence, and in my view, you don't need any of that to understand the core part of the Epstein story that has relevance to you.
Dude, this is crazy, Neotis, but if you look up that file that you just sent to look up, it literally on Google comes up as does not match. What the hell? I want to find that file. I am not a robot. Yes. All right. So okay, search. I want to see what your 001 29366. Wait, did I type that right? Why can't I find that? Oh, there we go. All right. To request a full investigation to open as assigned a special agent. Details read. An anonymous user on the dark that posted on blank about a planned elimination of 2 of subjects of EpiPen's publicly named victims. What? Bro. Whoa. Take everyone out? Oh my God. Dude, that's crazy. Dude, what? They made it that obvious too? Hold on, let's look at the details into this. All right, so we got drafted, a lot of redacted shit. Sorry, I'm trying to like lock in. Whoa, this is crazy. Okay, here we go. On July 25th, 2019, an anonymous user on the darknet posted blank about planned execution of 2 blah blah blah. Wait, is it the same? This is the same document as earlier. Okay, here we go. I can access address info easy. This is it, the place for it. If you're serious. Whoa. So he could be into literal like hitman type beat stuff on victims who have spoke out against. Yeah, this is a great document, by the way. Thank you so much for putting this in, because this literally attests to what this goofy goober bald egghead looking ass motherfucker was talking about. Like, this dude was talking about Humpty Dumpty ass over here was talking about how like, oh, like these guys aren't gonna why would no one ever bring up this? That's why. Because you could literally get murked, big dog.
Your life today in terms of your own government,
Squidward,
workings of power and corporate finance and like. But I do think that Girls Juice Deals and the fact that he had the coolest parties on a private island with the hottest girls
also brought in a lot of intellectuals, stimulating conversation, scientists, all these very interesting people. So that was part of the thing, right? That was the draw.
Try hosting a cool party as a guy with a bad ratio, so to speak.
Sausage party.
With a sausage party. And when you develop a reputation for having a...
Bro, as someone who was in a fraternity, all you gotta do is not be a fucking creep, dude. Be friends with women and respect them, and then they'll come to your parties. You don't have to do this fucking slimy ass shit, bro. That is not an excuse, bro. Dude, you're literally making an excuse for how he's doing this. No, you fuck.
Attractive women at the parties you host, you become an important person to know in the network, because basically every male has a desire for attractive women. Not saying underage, obviously, but that is like a universal biological desire for men to want to be around attractive women.
And what do they do for gay guys?
I have no idea.
Is that part of the file or the lore?
Neil, I'm gonna have to look at that file separately because I do have to go into work soon.
I've not seen evidence of it, or if I have, I can't recall it offhand. But again,
the whole point is he's throwing these very attractive, cool parties to get all these people together.
But that's what Juice's deals.
Right.
If you take this scenario, Epstein's running a fund. Yeah,
this guy's a whole bunch of nothing burger. Hold on, give me 1 second. All right, let's last thing before I have to go to work. Yeah, it is pretty crazy going to work after this, but Let's talk about these comments, dude. These comments are so funny. This podcast has turned into state media, literally, dude. They really have you by the balls, Rogan. Underage people, they're called children, Joe. It's wild to hear that from a father of girls, too. You have 3 girls. Bro, this is not Epstein conversation we want. This guy was speaking in the redacted language. Yo, for real. The left, what is a woman? The right, what is a child? Did this guy just call child trafficking a sidebar? Yeah, that's crazy. Fuck did I just listen to? Yeah, no, I'm so cooked on this, man. Anyways, thank you if you guys tune in. I do have to go to work. I love you guys. Thank you. You guys are literally what's holding this boat afloat. Hopefully I don't get dinged by YouTube for talking about the subject. I know that I'm not a big content creator, so sometimes when you talk about stuff like this, it can be pretty intense. Thank you for following, by the way. Yeah, I mean, if this ends up doing well, I'll definitely dive into it again, another stream. But all in all, I love you guys very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, week, everything. Thank you so much for the support. We're getting close to 14,000 subscribers now. That's kind of insane. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. I got to head to work, but love you guys.